Welcome to Facing the Middle East, our program that places news in context. War between Israel and Hamas has certainly eroded trust among people across the region. Still, that didn't stop one man from turning a vision into a reality, bringing a group of 50 phenomenal women leaders to Israel from around the Middle East and beyond. Meet Danny Hakim, the unstoppable force behind Women Champions for Change. Joining me are several women who exemplify Hakeim's cohort. A true game changer is Nazanin Afshin-Jam MacKay, who shows the world daily how one person can stand up to the Iranian regime and help get a woman on death row released from its grip. Another standout is Donna Orender, one of America's leading women in sports and business. Learn what motivated her to jump in and help her build a global coalition where each woman excels. But together, they're unstoppable. I wanted to take this program and dedicate it to the women of the world, the women who have put their lives on the line, the women who have been oppressed, the women that are breaking glass ceilings, the women that have made it to the top, the women that are striving, the women that hope to be something incredible, and most of all, to the persistence that all these women have. This program is dedicated to the incredible women who are daily trying to change our world for the better. We begin with the man behind the women, Danny Hakim, founder of Sports for Social Impact and director of the Azrieli Foundation. Danny is a two-time World Karate silver medalist and holds a 7th-degree black belt from Japan. He was also awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia. Danny Hakim, thank you for joining me here at the Media Line.
Thank you for inviting me.
Timing is everything. No one would think that an end to the war between Israel and Hamas is on a doorstep. You, despite that, brought many women together to Israel for a remarkable 2 days to talk, to think, to try to change things that go down between one another. How did your entire initiative of Women Champions for Change begin?
Just before October 7th, 2023, where on October 2023, I was supposed to go to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, with a group of Israeli and Palestinian members to a conference called Sports and Peace. And this conference is held every year, usually in Monaco, but this time it was supposed to be in Saudi Arabia. And we even had the Ministry of Sport from Israel going. Anyhow, October 7th happened and we did not go. The conference continued as if nothing had happened there in Saudi Arabia. And I thought, well, what can I do now? And who else is doing anything towards building trust between the people? And every organization that I looked at, it said nothing will be done until the end of the war. And I'm talking about programs that even the Pope was going to bring a group to the Maccabiah, a mixed team to compete against a Maccabi team, which was Jewish, Muslim, and Christian. All this was canned. And I found this group called the Abraham Women's Alliance, a group of women that since October 7th decided to tell the world what happened to the women on October 7th. And they were a non-Jewish group. They were Muslims and Christians. And before that, their organization were teaching media skills to Muslims and Christians in Lebanon and Iran to empower them and to tell their story. And I thought, these are remarkable women. So I contacted them. And then we invited the two founders of the Abraham Women's Alliance, one Iranian American, the other one Lebanese American. I invited them to Israel and they came. We discussed doing something similar in Israel. And when you look at, historically, when women are involved in conflict management, it's been proven that 30% more successful than men.
What was the feedback from some of the women that came when they went home? Did they share any of that? Was there any pushback at all?
Yes, there was pushback, but the women are courageous and they didn't care, and they pushed back. And I think now, with the possibility of a peace, they're looking like, prophets in a way, because they were there. They've now got the contacts. They're not afraid to talk about hope and initiatives because, having met the other women and having these connections, they're at the front line now.
Danny, 5 years from now, because you began this saying it's 5 years since the Abraham Accords were signed. So 5 years from now, where do you envision this concept of yours of women as game changers?
Look, there are many different women networks uh, that are really popping up recently. Maccabi World Union a year ago set up their own women's organization. There is the Alliance of Middle East Peace that have their women's organization. Only 6 months ago, there was the Middle East North Africa 2050. They started their own cohort of women. All these women organizations are creating their own network, their own power base, and our Women's Champions for Change is sort of like an umbrella in a way, or at least linking them together, and they can feed off each other and create collaborative projects together. And as women, it's much more powerful. And I see in 5 years' time, many of these organizations collaborating, creating initiatives together across the borders. And the Abraham Accords will be expanded, and it will be with Syria and Lebanon and Saudi Arabia. And I believe that it's going to be much easier for the women to create those connections from the ground and also politically. So I'm very hopeful that this is what's going to happen in 5 years' time.
When you walked out of the event, because it was many months in planning and not an easy thing to do, what was the word that came to mind? How did you feel?
I want to repeat the word that nearly more than 50% of the women said to me. We thought, okay, is it inspiring? Is it empowering? Most of them said it was life-changing.
Danny Hakim, really appreciate your time and for sharing about your grand initiative. And that's really all about the Women Champions for Change. And looking forward to seeing how you're going to change this very complex world we live in.
Stay in tune.
News needs trained journalists. The Media Line, the first American nonprofit news agency covering the Middle East, has mentored scores of students from prestigious American universities and around the globe. We are one of the best kept secrets. Universities are partners. Students receive credit. In order to bring you trusted news, we need support for our future journalists. Please make your tax-deductible gift today. Go to themedialine.org.
One of the outcomes of International Women's Day is the focus on those who have gone far and above and who have created pathways for others. One woman who epitomizes this is Hanan Alsanah. She's Bedouin, a trendsetter, an activist, and an attorney. Raised in Lakia, she did not marry her cousin and stay home. She went from herding sheep to dedicating her life to women's empowerment, particularly in the Bedouin community, where she served as co-director of the Negev Coexistence Forum for Civil Equality. Today, she is co-executive director of Itach Ma'aki, Women Lawyers for Social Justice. Hanan, thank you so much for joining me today
Thank
on
you.
Facing
Thank
the
you so
Middle
much.
East.
Thank you so much. And happy International Women's Day.
And you know what? It's an honor to have you among some of the most powerful women chosen to be here as part of the organization Women Champions for Change. You've been working for decades to alter life for the better for underprivileged women. Where do you feel you've succeeded, and where do you feel it could be better?
As a Bedouin woman who born into traditional conservative Bedouin family, I face a lot of obstacles, challenges. Many times in my life, I have been told it's impossible. You cannot do it. You are not allowed to do it. I born into very large family, 9 sisters and 2 brothers. I am the youngest among my sisters and the only one who went to the university. So after I fulfill my dream, and went to university, I say to myself that it is a time also to fulfill the dreams of all the Bedouin women in the Negev. So I'm started to struggle for education rights for women, started to build literacy programs, adult school for women. In the beginning, they told me you will not manage, you will not succeed. It's impossible. It's conservative community. So I worked in cooperation with the men, with the leaders, with the sheikh. We struggle also and implement also economic programs for these women. Around 8,000 women participated in these programs, the education and in the economic. And in by time, I said, it's okay, it's not enough. So we started to struggle in another area.
But I have to stop you because I think the audience needs to understand we're talking about women within the Bedouin communities and how things have shifted. It's different than the time of your grandmother, probably even your mother. And if you
Yes.
look at the difference, can you kind of explain how that's changed? And you're not talking about a very long time.
In our traditional lifestyle, the women, they did had a central role because they built the tent. So for our community who built the tent by the weaving, she has a power and a central role in the family, in the community. But instead of that, she still face another obstacles and challenges. She don't have a ownership in her personal decisions. For example, she cannot choose with who he's going to get married. She cannot be part of the decision making. She cannot go participate in political activism and arena.
Hanan, I understand that you might be running for political office. Now, how did you actually get permission from your community and the sheikhs in your community to do so?
Here, our community cannot accept that. They can accept everything, but not women in leadership. That's the reason that I moved and start to work with Itach Maki, because I believe that when we work together, Arab and Jewish women in solidarity, in unity, and we work to promote the women, marginalized women from both society, we can manage to bring more women around the decision making.
Lawyer, activist, feminist, and you went and put yourself in front of the camera and exposed who you were in the Bedouin community in a film after October 7th. What did that mean for you? And did it help to change the narrative, the view of the Bedouin community by the public?
This film, give us the opportunity to raise our voice, to tell the people that we exist, we are here, and it's not only we are here, that we are very involved in developing the reality and the economic and education in Israel.
Women's Champions for Change, a cohort of about 50 women that came together in Israel, and they're leading the way, joining forces to change things for the better for women, not just in Israel, but globally. What kind of direction do you feel that you want to add to this group, and what has happened since you all met?
We need to practice peace. We need to start to build the peace, because peace building among the people first, and later informal and political document. And with this group, it's not only I feel more confident. I feel more. I learn a lot about women in our region. I believe more that the peace is the only way for security.
You have two daughters. Women's International Day is upon us. Looking at them, what do you hope for them?
I hope for them that they will live in dignity, freedom, and they will have their ownership on their decision, especially the personal decision also. I want them to be happy. I want for them to live in peace.
Hanan Alsanah, a pleasure. I could see why you're part of the Women's Champions for Change, and I wish you much success. And let us know when you're running.
Thank you so much. I will.
It's been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Born in Iran, Nazanin Afshin-Jam MacKay is not only an international award-winning human rights activist and co-founder of Stop Child Executions, she's also the wife of former Minister of Foreign Affairs Peter MacKay and works tirelessly for a free Iran. She was also crowned Miss World Canada in 2003. Let me begin with what's happening in Iran. I think that it's near and dear. You are of descent of Iranian, parents. What's going through your mind right now as you're witnessing a regime that could crack or not? You're witnessing mass brutal killings on the streets of Iran. And really, they say 1 million people have come out on the streets over the past weeks.
Yes, Felice, it's really a mix of emotions for all of us. On the one end, the nation is really mourning. There's tens of thousands that have been killed, hundreds of thousands that have been injured, and so many that are currently detained and possibly going to be executed in the coming days. So almost every family member that I've spoken to inside Iran, my friends, they know of somebody or have somebody in their family that has been affected by this. Either they're now dead or injured. And so we're all quite sad, horrified by the level of violence. As you know, this regime has occupied the people for 46, 47 years and have unleashed such egregious human rights abuses, but we'd never seen anything like we've seen in the past few weeks. But also, there's a glimmer of hope. The Iranian people really feel like this is the one chance that they have to reclaim their country. And it seems like all the ingredients are lined up or were lined up in terms of the millions of people that came out in the streets chanting that they want a complete end to this regime. The fact that there's a US president who is bold enough to take it to this level where there's aircraft carriers at the ready if these quote unquote negotiations don't go through. The European countries have finally listed the IRGC on the terrorist list, which gives an indication that they're starting to be on the side of the people. Of course, Canada and some other countries, Australia, and had already listed the IRGC on the terrorist list. So the political will is getting there. And so we're all waiting.
Nazanin, this is very near and dear to you to heart. Your father was imprisoned in Iran and escaped, basically. Share that story.
It was at the start of the 1979 revolution. I was only a baby. My father was working as the general manager of the Sheraton Hotel. And at that time, we didn't know what all the new rules were in terms of this Islamist regime coming in and setting out Sharia law. My father was allowing for mingling between men and women and alcohol at the hotel, just things that were normal that he had always done. But the Revolutionary Guards burst in and arrested him and tortured him, and they were going to execute him. But by some fatal luck, my mother managed to get him out until he'd have a trial. But of course, they weren't going to wait around for that, as his friends and colleagues had all been executed. So he was on the first plane ride to Spain after his wounds healed enough that he could actually sit down. And then we followed, and then a year later, we immigrated to Canada.
Take a moment to talk about your mom.
She passed away a few years ago, but I keep her ashes because I'm so hopeful that Iran will be free soon and I can deliver her ashes and bury it in the mausoleum where her parents and ancestors were buried. She had such a love for the culture and the people, and she just had such a wonderful life before the 1979. Her father was a general in the Shah's army, and her mother was such a wonderful spirited woman. The pictures that I see of them at the parties and in, their mini skirts and, going to the south and picking fruit off the tree. Just she characterized a very idealistic lifestyle at that time. And of course, her life felt very shattered when she was forced to leave. And I mean, of course, we had a wonderful life growing up in Canada, but being separated from family and the lifestyle that she knew before, that broken heart stayed with her until her very last days.
Some say she had converted to Christianity. Did she?
Yes, that's right. When she was a teenager, she read the Bible and she said, "Who is this man that thinks exactly like me?" And the more she learned, and she became very spiritual and had a very close connection to Jesus. And uh, luckily for my sister and I, we were raised in the Christian faith, and I'm a big believer as well. And so that's the best gift she ever gave me, is introducing me to God.
You were in Israel. Talk about God. You were at the WCC, you were speaking, and very beautiful organization pulled together an incredible group of women as a cohort to really change things, change up the dynamics in the world. What did you walk away with from that trip?
It was an incredible trip. First of all, going to the Holy Land itself is just such a spiritual occurrence and journey. But the WCC members, all incredibly talented, accomplished women from across the Middle East. We were building synergy and speaking about our various projects. And since we've met, we've already started collaborating on different projects. And the whole mindset is that, women champions of change can come together to change the outlook, not just in the Middle East, but the world. And I mean, there's proven studies that if women are involved in positions of leadership or peace negotiations, the outcome is much more successful over long term than if it's just purely men.
Women's International Day is not that far off. And as a woman who is dedicated and who really makes a difference, what is your hope this year?
I hope that women's rights groups around the world recognize that this, as I called it, a gender apartheid regime exists. They don't just discriminate against women. They just don't persecute women. They segregate women. So it's incumbent upon our sisters around the world to join hands with us and to speak out against this.
Well, Nazanin, it's a lot to do out there. It's not simple. It's very, very intense and complex, but women can make a difference, and you're definitely one of them. Thank you for joining the Media Line. Former president of the Women's National Basketball Association and a former professional basketball player, Donna Orender was also named one of the most powerful women in sports and one of Newsweek's 100 most influential women in business and sports. She speaks with me about women power. You are one of the leading women in sports and business. Newsweek has said it, but many others have too. You were here in Israel. An amazing event took place where women from around the world, more than 50, came together. They were chosen to really engage in leadership and all kinds of ways that they can tell stories, connect with one another, connect in business, and I would say motivate others. What got you involved in this project, and particularly about this big event of women who are champions for change?
It was about putting together a event that brings women, mostly from the Middle East and North Africa, together to talk about peace collaboration, cross border collaboration, the idea of bringing all of us with united hearts, even though we might be from a different religion or a different location, knowing the hearts of women that have a real desire to move forward, connecting with connection and collectively. And what was so great was to be in the company of truly special, wonderful, motivated women who don't ask that question, who are actively engaged in their communities in doing things.
Donna, let's take it the next step because I really feel it's important. There are many conferences, there are many associations where women get together. What happens after? What has transpired since that day?
Fundamentally, the first thing is you have people connected. I am in touch with these women almost every day. Not every single one of them every day, but things are percolating, right? I always believe when you put seeds in the ground or seeds in other people, whether it's our heart, wherever, they will sprout. Because the women that came together, each of them have such interesting projects and purviews, we thought, by and large, we can really help each other build those because they're so valuable.
A lot of people have lost a lot of faith in the space of peace. And I have to bring this up because I often think it's misunderstood. The value of peace, the understanding of what it means to talk to another that you wouldn't have nothing to do with, and trying to understand where they come from. There's the
Yeah.
collective thought as well that people think that just because you come from a certain ethnicity, that everyone is the same. What have you encountered?
I think that we all are uniquely are results of uniquely different environments. And we can think macro, oh, you're an Arab, you're an Israeli, you're a Jew, you're a Christian, you're a Muslim. But it's also very micro. I think about the neighborhood everybody grew up in. Across the street could be another microclimate, right? The neighborhood when I grew up, like I grew up in a certain neighborhood in, New York, and we were this. And, like 10 blocks away, they were that. And when you really distill it, right, they're all common human experiences. And I think if we can tap into our own feeling of otherness, I think all of us feel othered. It doesn't matter who you are. But if you can tap into that vulnerability, that empathy, it allows you to kind of want to reach across to understand other people. I will say this, Felice, through this experience, I've had to accept and understand that there is truly right and wrong. There is good and evil, truly. And I think that gets in the way. And understanding that better, there is a moral inversion in terms of understanding what's going on in the world. And I find that incredibly surprising. But being a student of history, I also understand that this is not the first time. And it's just our turn to say, well, how do we and how do I want to move through that? What impact do I want to make?
Donna Orender, great to really speak with you, learn more about what you've done and how it can help change women for the better.
No, thank you so much, Felice. I appreciate it.
We hope you were inspired by the women showcased on this program. Each one brings her own story and vision. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Facing the Middle East, where we unlock the hidden truths of the world's most contentious region. You can also follow our daily news coverage from seasoned journalists across the Middle East and see what journalism is truly about. Visit themedialine.org for news you need to know and trust.